Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. Couples who are financially incapable of feeding several kids are mostly the ones having a large family. I have noticed this in more than a few situations. Someone who is making just enough money to get life going, barely making ends meet, and probably not planned well about their kids' college funds or education are more than often having a large family. If there is an accidental pregnancy, I am not making a comment here. This is targeted at couples voluntarily wanting to have a large family. While the financially sound ones, or rather I can call them rich, stick to 1 or 2 kids and have a well-planned future and investment for them. Having a child is expensive. You feed them, give them clothing, send them to school and save for their college or whatever. Having 1/2 kids and be able to provide them a better life is way smarter than having 4 to 5 kids when you can't even take care of one properly. Yeah, we've all seen Idiocracy. Condoms are cheaper than baby food. The poor reproduce while the wealthy does not as much. I once got absolutely cursed out by a busboy who sold drugs on the side for pointing out that he should probably use some form of birth control. He felt it was his right as a man to ejaculate in his wife without birth control whenever he wanted. He already had like 3 kids. Almost like lack of education and resources leads to poor life choices. This type of behavior is ingrained and passed down from generation to generation. You mentioned a well-planned future and investment for them. Well, this is their plan. To have as many kids as possible so that the chances of one of them surviving and making it is higher. My daughter's mom is the perfect example of this. Her mom taught her well. Collect child support, food stamps, welfare, Section 8 housing. Her and her new husband just had 2 more kids, and she collected all of that when she only had our daughter. She's been unemployed for 10+ years, and the best job he can hold down, when he has one, is as a night clerk at a gas station. As far as your accident part, I think it's still annoying when they keep having accidents. As if we don't know how babies are made. There are readily available contraceptives. We the people are essentially paying for their UPS and choices to have a large family when they can't financially afford them. This opinion is not unpopular with me, and in what part of the world is this an unpopular opinion? Watch the first 3 minutes of iDocracy, https://www.youtube.com/watch, v=1m4c0. Why should responsible people have to foot the bill for them in the form of taxes leading to welfare and the like? Generally it's not the couples who are the ones incapable of feeding their multitudinous progeny, it's the singles. Poor family often mean poor health care. This including pregnancy prevention. Plan B can be expensive, might be a factory. Poor irresponsible people love sex. BC it's free. It's not an unpopular opinion to think that it's a fact poor and lower educated people have more children than the wealthier, more educated ones, and that there are differences between the developed and developing world. It's a fact accepted by most people. It's however an unpopular opinion to think people with lower education and worse economy shouldn't have children because of it would be seen as discriminatory and unfair. In my country, poor people have equally rights as the wealthiest ones, and therefore saying poor people shouldn't have as many children are seen as mean. Poor people may live on disability or other forms of welfare to be able to provide for their children, but may also be allowed free IVF treatment because of having children is seen as a basic human right. As long you doesn't beat your children, the state sees no reason to intervene. The sad thing is that a lot these parents who have a lot of children might do it because they hope the children will work and provide income in the future. Or at least that's what happens in some countries. Having half a kid. They annoy me for sure. My wife wanted 4 kids since I met her as a teen, so I knew what she wanted going into the marriage. We aren't rich for sure. But I work hard and make enough to where it's not a problem, and to be quite frank, it's not even that expensive. It's really not. Grandparents keep buying them stuff. I don't ask for this, so they've got too many toys and clothes as it is. I buy mainly diapers, a little bit more food than I used to buy, and that's it. LOL. So I'm fortunate that the grandparents actively spoil them. But as far as paying for them, it's fine. I even bought myself a motorcycle and classic car because I could. You just don't buy booze. That's what made me broke years ago. Now, I'm saving a ton, beaming face with smiling eyes. Fuck you, alcoholism. LOL. More uneducated people have more children. A college professor once told me that people that have nothing look to have kids to fill that space, alluding to the fact that poorer, more financially unstable parents decide to have more children on average, not an opinion. This is a statistical fact. WTF is wrong with this subreddit? Except this isn't entirely true. What about those crazy religious breeders, such as the Duggars and Mormons? They always have insanely big families. It's pretty twisted. People are not gonna like what I have to say. I think the issue that you're pointing out has to do with something that's likely deep and much more deterministic about human psychology. I don't think wealthier people are more responsible or have a well-planned future the few children they conceive. The fact of the matter is that wealthier people are like any other person who are consistently comparing their ambitions and careers with their co-workers or social class. Wealthier people are not making smarter decisions, they're making relativistic decisions. In other words, they imitate behaviors and lifestyles appropriate for those of the same social class or culture. Because these social classes have more opportunities at their disposal, having children turns into something you do in your 40s when there's less of a risk of this decision affecting your career, or preventing you from traveling to exotic places like your friends or your social group. Oh no, you're having a kid. But there's so many Instagram posts in different countries you haven't taken. And you're not a millionaire yet. Wealthy people are encouraged, or peer pressured, to prioritize aspects of their own life. When you're poor, you don't have enough options, you're likely around a particular social class that will more likely offer bad advice. Hey, if you have a kid, you get a tax break. Hey, if you get a kid, you'll have somebody to take care of you when you're too old to work. I know this post was not meant to be offensive and you're only pointing out a trend that seems to come up. However, this meme that poor people dumb, rich people smart is something that is incredibly reductive and doesn't take into consideration the fact that you don't choose your parents, or the city, state, nation, religion, sex, friends, etc. At times, the lifelong disadvantage a person could face could stem from being raised a few houses too close to a particular neighborhood, whereas if they were raised a few houses over they would have been spared such a disadvantage. Look up broken windows theory of policing.